Alright guys, welcome back to our Megaman-X platformer, let's code, let's dev, whatever the butts you want to call it. In this episode, or in the last episode, we took care of our crouching mechanics, so now we can duck down and shoot with our lemons. We can also charge up our lemons to make even bigger lemons, and of course, you know, just go on our happy days. So in this episode, we're going to try and tackle the dashing mechanics, something that I've been prototyping with just for a little bit. Seems to work in my other build. And I'm hoping to God I can get it right on this time, because I haven't had my best of luck in the past episodes. My apologies on that, but you know, it just goes to show when you troubleshoot, it should help fix things up. So let's go ahead and get started. So for this script, we need to just modify a few bits of code in 9 different places, and of course, with when we're adding a new set of indexes, we of course need to check our 3 scripts here. So we're gonna make a case for check index, animate player, and fire buster. Let's go ahead and start with check index here. With making a case called dash. All right, and it's very simple. If our sprite index is equal to dash sprite, or sprite index is equal to dash shoot sprite, or sprite index is equal to dash flash sprite, we will just simply return 1 and the case statement there. Moving on to our animate player, what we're going to do is just make another case down below here and call this the same thing, case dash. So in this case, we're just going to basically say if our flash timer is greater than 0, sprite index is equal to our dash flash sprite. This is going to be a set of sprite indexes that are not affected by the aiming system. It's just straight shots, no diagonal up, unfortunately. Maybe we might add it later, but we'll see. So else if shoot timer is greater than 0 or aim is not equal to 0, our sprite index will be equal to dash shoot sprite. Otherwise, we'll just set our sprite index to our dash sprite. Break end the statement there, and we are done finito. Let's see. Next up, we'll go up to fire buster, and it's another simple case as well. We're just going to basically say proj is equal to instance create x plus c times 32, y plus 24, a, and then if c is equal to 1, proj direction is going to be equal to 0, else proj direction will be set to 180 degrees. Break and end the statement, and we are done here as well. Simple so far. And then, of course, we need to go to our XBuster controller and then add the case for shooting or dashing, so we can shoot when we're dashing. So if we check index dash firebuster b dash, and then you know the drill, we can take this line, copy it, and then paste it here, copy it and paste it here, and then call that one good. Alright, now it's time to get into the dashing system itself, and for this we just need to go into our create event and just create 2 new variables here. So down here I'm just going to say dash is equal to 0 and dash timer is also equal to 0. So dash timer is just going to be a timer, and then dash is going to be like a multiplier for like how fast we can move with our horizontal speed. And one more we need to set in our individual player types is the dash speed, how fast the player can dash along depending on which armor it's wearing. Maybe with the force armor, for example, we can move a little bit quicker. But I'm just going to set the dash speed to 3. No, not 30, not 30. But no, that's it there. And then here's where things got complicated last night. So I was bustling my butt trying to get this to work, and I did get to work functionality, but there's just a little hint of aesthetic that doesn't work. But it still should work in terms of functions for whatever happens. So, that being said, in our player inputs, we need to define 2 new ones. It's going to be similar to down and down tap. We're just going to say key dash is equal to keyboard check VK shift. You can use whatever button works for you. I just think shift is convenient because it's right next to my left hand here, and I should be able to still run and jump around the move, or run and jump around the room, no problem. All right, and then key dash tap is just equal to keyboard check pressed VK shift, and that's done there. Under react to inputs, we need to make dash speed equal to dash speed times our image X scale, not times by moved or times by aim. It has to be dependent on the image X scale just to see which way we're moving. We need to put this next batch of code above our selective horizontal speed values here, but here's how the dashing is going to work. If we press so basically what's going to happen is we are going to hold down shift, and while we do that, we're triggering the dash tab variable, because when we press it, it's going to turn 1 for a second and go back to 0, and that's what we want, like a pulse. So when we get that pulse of dash tab, we need to check our sprite index to make sure we're either idling, running, and we need to make sure our dash timer is 0 and we're not having a sprite index of dash, so we don't have a continuous loop of dashing. Later on down the road, if we get our force armor installed into the game, we may have a condition where we can see if the player can have an air dash, so we can jump in the air and dash like across with no vertical speed impact, like in Megaman-X 5, for example. So starting with this, we're going to say if key dash tap, open and close some curly braces, and if check index idle or check index run and not check in, we are not checking the index of dash, and our dash timer is equal to 0. Okay. Open and close some curly braces. Here, let's just open up some parentheses here and then close some parentheses here. So we're going to set our image index to 0, and then we will animate the player to dash. So then this condition will no longer be met, and then we are not doing a constant loophole whatsoever. Our dash timer, meanwhile, is then going to be primed to be our room speed times 0.75, which is 3/4 of a second. So since the game is running at 60 FPS, so we divide that by 3/4, that should be 45 frames. So 45 frames of the room will have a dash timer, in a sense. We're also going to tackle the case when we're dashing under ceilings, and in order for this to work, we need to make sure all of our floor sprites are solid, because we'll be using place free statements, which is not like checking the vertical or the y plus vertical speed, for example. So let me just make sure that all your collision sprites are set to solid, and let's see. Probably not going to worry about the platforms. We'll see how that messes with us down the road. So anyway, dashing under ceilings. It's very simple. If there's no place free, x, y, minus 12. Why is it x, y, minus 12? Check your masking index, or your mask index is between when you're crouching and you're idling, and you'll get the difference between the top pixels of the mask index, and that will be the number you're looking for. So, and then if we check index of dashing as well, if our dash timer is greater than 2, we need basically what we're going to do is we're relying on our dash timer to be greater than 0 in order to have a faster moving speed. And then if this goes to 0, we'll be stuck underground, so we need to make sure that this dash timer stays greater than 2, so we can continuously dash under until there's a place free above our head. So dash timer, we'll add to our dash timer, and then we'll say HSP is equal to dash. Further down in our selective HSP values, this is where things get interesting, because we'll have different horizontal speed values depending on our cases. So if we're not holding down the dash key, our HSP is going to be equal to our move times move speed, like our initial platformer, what we started with. Otherwise, what we're going to say is if we're check indexing dashing and our dash timer is still greater than 0, our HSP will be equal to our dash, which we've defined up here as dash speed times image X scale. So since we set dash speed in our no armor X to be 3, it will be 3 if we're facing to the right, or -3 if we're facing to the left. And then since X is being added to whatever HSP final is, which I mean it's up here, that's how we move around the room. It's basically we have different movement speeds here, alternating movement speeds. There we go. Okay. Other than that, if we Simon operated. Oh, okay. And dash time is okay. Here we go. So if our check index jump, if we're checking the jump index, then so this is for like when we're not, for example, we're not dashing, but we want to move fast in the room. People when they play the Megaman-X series, if they hold down the dash key and start jumping around they start jumping forward through the room, they move a lot faster when just regularly running. So that's what we're replicating here, and I'll demonstrate that as I run the game later. We're going to set HSP equal to move times move speed plus dash speed divided by 2. If that's just dash speed, we're going to be moving pretty fast. And that's not really healthy. We'll call this our jump sprint, and with a reference to X5. Otherwise, if we're not checking the index of dash, and we're not checking the index of jump, we'll set our horizontal speed back to our move times move speed. Call good. And that should be it in the platformer. So that functionality, this should work, but aesthetically it won't. And we need to animate this properly, otherwise it probably won't work either. So in our timers, we also need to make sure the dash timer can decrement. So if dash timer is greater than 0, dash timer minus minus. Else, we're going to set both the dash timer equal to 0 and the dash itself equal to 0. This will make it so like when our dash timer is 0, we'll stop moving until we let go of the dash key, and of course we can continue on our way. We can still supposedly hold down the dash key and have our normal running horizontal speed, but I mean, if the dash timer runs out, we won't be able to move faster in a sense to the room. Okay. 2 more to go. We have to go to our animation handling controllers now. If we're not moving here, so in this condition here where move is equal to 0, in the ground animation basis, what we're going to do is just make a comment for dashing, and then say if key dash, if dash timer is greater than 0, we're just going to say animate player dash, and this will keep the animation going for the player. And then, but we don't want the animation to loop consistently. We want to hold it while our dash timer is still greater than 0. So we're going to say if image index is greater than 7, we'll set our image index to be equal to 4. And there's 2 images in the sprite index of dashing where it's a kind of an effect, but that's why I have these 2 values here. That's the end of this. Else, let's see. Else if place free x y minus 12, and then else here. So basically, if we're holding down the dash key, we'll do this. Otherwise, if we're not holding down the dash key and there's a place free, if and this is just for animating purposes. If dash timer is greater than 0, we'll still animate the player to dash, but this will be ending the dash cycle and returning back to our idle stage. Otherwise, we're just going to set HSP equal to dash. We'll just animate the player to dash, and then just loop it again until we're not crunched over the ceiling. So it's just repeating this, but we have a continuous horizontal speed, and that should do it there. One more thing to go. We need to go to our animation end, our update controller here, and we just need to make a case for dashing. So if we check our index of dashing, of course, all we need to do is just say our image index is equal to 0. We're gonna set our dash timer to 0, and we are going to animate the player to idle. And hopefully, if I run the game now, if I did everything correctly, this is what we should see. We cannot set constant to a value. What are you talking about, man? Okay, let's take a peek-see-poo here. It's probably line 30. Nope. Okay. Ah, here it is, right here. Oops. That should fix it. There we go. Ah, and I should have done this too, but we haven't defined our dash sprites. We have them here, and it should be in the image that I provided with you guys at the beginning of this tutorial series, but basically it's just these 3 sprites right here for when he's shooting, or a muzzle flash, or just regular dashing. So all we need to do is just go to our player type and define the sprite files here. We're just going to quickly say dash sprite is equal to SPRNX dash shoot sprite is equal to SPRNX dash shoot, and then dash flash sprite is equal to SPRNX dash flash. That should do it. Try this again. 3rd time's the charm, hopefully. Get rid of that because that's no longer an error. Okay. So if I... Hey! Let's go! Sweet. That's what we're looking for. So the kink that I'm talking about here, so I'm going to quickly demonstrate. When I tap and let go of the dash, you can see how it animates properly, but the only kink I've got in my script here is when I hold it down until the timer runs out. You can see it's a choppy cut from the dash to the idle, and what it's supposed to do is that, as you just saw there, but when it reaches the end. But as you can see also, if I hold down shift and then just move around, we can also move a little bit quicker too, because that's because you know, we're replicating the jump sprint that you see in Megaman-X 5, for example. When you hold down the dash key and you start jumping around, you move a lot faster. So I mean, this versus this, you know. And if I tap the dash key, okay, and this is probably because this gap is probably too small. I mean, it's probably tighter than our masking index. So what I could do, because I know this worked in my other thing, but what I had was this here, and that should work. And I can still, gosh darn it, I can still fit under there. Come on. Okay, so let's put that back, and then I think let's try A. So I realized exactly what it was before I started debugging. There's one little pinch of code I missed here at the top where we modify our mask indexes. So if we say our dash timer is greater than 0, we're going to say that our mask index needs to be equal to our MSK duck-x mask index, and then we'll just say else if here, else if this statement, and then else that, and that should do it. And if I go ahead and kind of just poke this through, let's do that, and try that. And what I also did is you can see right there in that top line of code, I have I have the mask index draw, so I can keep an eye on which mask index it is. So you can see right now it's a regular one, and if I crouch, you can see it's the ducking one. And then, yep, there it is. Okay, cool. Oh, hold up. Oh, that was interesting. Okay. Huh. So we can fit under this gap right here, and you can see that it gets smaller. So, all right, here we go. Okay, and okay. So clearly we're missing something, but you can see that the mask index is still the same. It's doing what it needed to do, but it's not moving the player under that gap. So let me troubleshoot just a little bit more, and I'll tell you what I come up with. Alright, it was in the wrong place, in the wrong condition. We don't need move to be equal to 0 in order to fix our dashing here. So otherwise it wouldn't work and it wouldn't make sense. So if I just undent that there. So where this is located, it is just in the condition if we're if we're colliding with a floor controller, our floor basically. But it doesn't matter if move is set to 1 or if it's set to 0 or -1. If we just need to check to see if we're touching the floor or not to do this. Still nothing. Really? Okay, but it's keeping the same index. So my original build seemed to be buggy as well, so I had to fix that really quick. And, well, yeah. So I had to go and fix that, and then hopefully I think I came up with a solution. So now I'm going to go back into our X base, and we need to rework a couple things. First off, in the platformer, in the dashing under ceiling, here's what we're going to do. We're going to set the dash timer. If it's greater than 5, we're going to decrement instead. We're also going to move this under here, and then say really quick, else dash timer is equal to 5. And then below this, if we're not pressing the dash key, we're going to set this be equal to dash, and then we'll x plus equal HSP, just so we can move under freely, no problem. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that, because that I don't need. And just to make sure, I'm going to copy in my reference code and just paste it in there. Okay, we're clean. In our select HSP values, I'm going to do a quick swipe here as well. So this is what it really should be, and hopefully that will be fixed, and that is done here. In our animating controller here, it was in the right spot. It was just maybe a wrong batch of code. It didn't make any sense. So this is fine. This is fine. This is not. So we keep this down here. We're going to say HSP equal to dash, and then x plus equal HSP. Actually, no, I don't think we need this. Here, let's maybe code this out for a second and then see what happens. Oh, okay, well, maybe we do need that. Oh, for the love of mercy. It's not even keeping the same masking index. Oh, because this stinker here. Crap. Well, that's awkward. We're not pressing the dash key, so that means none of this crap can work, which probably means this is going to work here in just a second. There it is. That's what we wanted. Excuse my phone going out. But that's what I was trying to push for. So now we can dash under there, and if you see this middle number here, that is our dash timer here. So this number right here is our horizontal speed. This one is to see if we can move. This third number down is our move or our dash timer, and then this last number is our dash speed. You can see that it holds it down, and we can also go along, and we can still do our dashing around. That's what I wanted. That's all I needed to do. That's gonna conclude this episode. Finally, I'm really sorry about that, or like how buggy this is being. But you know, again, troubleshooting, it never hurts to learn just to see what goes wrong, because you're not gonna get it perfect the first time unless you're super duper lucky. So, that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching this series so far. I have been Nighthawk, and I will see you guys later.
Hey guys, one quick thing before you guys click away. I just want to let you guys know, Friday, June 21st, we are releasing a drum cover for Panic in the Golden Halls. Last time I looked, we hit 100 likes, and I want to thank you guys so much for supporting that music remix. It means a whole bunch to me. It's record breaking for my channel, and thank you. So be there Friday, June 21st. I think I'll do a YouTube premiere, kind of like what I did with the drift trike at the beginning of this year. I've got all these straight of videos here just to pre-post for you guys for the next week or two. It is currently Saturday, June 8th, and that is, I pretty much got videos for Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, all the way up to that point. So thank you guys so much for supporting my channel. Thank you guys so much for supporting this Let's Code series, and thank you so much for your love and support on Panic at the Golden Halls. Something else that might help out my subscribers too, I'm noticing I'm not getting many views, and I'm going to assume that's... Sorry, my arm's getting tired. I'm assuming that is just because that the bell is not being toggled. So below this video here, if you want to go ahead and click the bell, you will get notifications of every time that I make an upload. I just hate for you guys to miss out on a video. I mean, if it's not interesting to you, then, well, sorry. But, you know, yeah, just go ahead and subscribe. Give a thumbs up. Give me some comments and some feedback. Click the bell, and I'll see you guys later.